Warning, this video may contain spoilers for late parts in the game. If you plan on playing this at some point, turn back now. You have been warned. Welcome back everybody, and welcome to a game I was absolutely blown away by as a kid. It might be sacrilegious to compare this game to F-Zero GX, but this game pretty much went down the same way for me. I couldn't quite get a total grasp on the mechanics of the game, thus leading me to quit both games extremely early on, but I was entirely entranced by the aesthetics of both due to the kind of futuristic racing settings. Now, GX I quit much earlier on. I was only able to beat the hero story and riders back then, but I was equally bad at them. Cut to now, and I have a lot more respect for how this game is played, as I finally started to get a hang on the mechanics a little better, at least enough as to beat the game in the first place. Let's start with the basics. Alright, this game isn't a very basic one to explain, and I won't be delving to the mechanics too hard, because at least for me, I had to physically play the game to learn and get better, and it all just took a little more time to get a hang of everything to at least achieve first place in the story mode, which, if you've never played, it's a feat in and of itself to me. Some may think it was a lot easier, but I had a hard time. Essentially, this game is like many other racing games, but it focuses more on doing tricks to keep your meter from falling too low and increasing your speed as much as possible throughout the race. Another interesting mechanic this game has going for it is the three separate categories that each racer falls under: speed, strength, and flying. These also correlate to better routes that these characters can choose to take, usually being shortcuts, but some really aren't worth wasting your time on. There's another system in place for collecting rings throughout its racetrack. If you collect enough, you will level up and gain more meter to use as well as a speed boost, but you have to do this for every single level. This level can be increased twice, and you can go upwards of 400 miles per hour. There isn't really an acceleration button, just moving forward will take you forward, but there is a boost button with B that not only boosts you forward, costing some of your meter, but if you ride up next to another racer, you can damage them and completely stop them in their tracks, though some shenanigans can happen, so the results are get close at your own risk. Holding the A button at first looks like an attempt at a break, but it is actually used to, I guess, load energy into doing a high jump over various ramps, leading to alternate routes, or just letting you perform many tricks to get your meter back up. Variously, you will enter short segments where you are unable to move your character, but you can rotate the control stick in order to quickly boost your meter back up as well. There are two separate sides of the same story, but I'll be explaining them like they're happening at the same time because they actually are. The game starts with Jet getting spooked by Storm, with Wave coming in as well. Storm says there's major news, but they get distracted by a blue cube that Jet was messing with, being a hand-me-down from his father, as well as the apparent key to Babylon Garden. Wave then tells him that Eggman is here to speak to him. Eggman comes in and basically tells Jet that the real key to the Babylonian Garden is the 7 Chaos Emeralds, and they just decided to go along with it, I think due to Jet wanting a challenge, with Eggman mentioning Sonic as a rival to him, as well as a chance at some treasure. Meanwhile, on the Sonic side of things, they're seen using a device that's essentially a tracking radar for the Chaos Emeralds when they notice the signal is coming from around where they are. Just then, they see Jet break out of a building, seemingly with a Chaos Emerald. Sonic starts to chase him but is thrown off by their skateboard technology as Wave and Storm arrive. Sonic steals a board and chases Jet, with Sonic actually being too slow for once. Later the next day, they find a screen where Eggman announces a Grand Prix because he's bored, with the entry fee being 1 Chaos Emerald, showing off some racers that he betted, being Jet, Storm, and Wave. After a race, Wave comes saying that the board that Tails built were garbage, placing a bomb on Sonic sneakily. After another race, Knuckles and Storm get angry at each other before their race, where Knuckles actually bests Storm. Storm heads back to his team's airship, and Wave basically calls his skills trash for losing on the board she built, and Jet silences them, tasking Storm with finding out what Eggman is really planning. While waiting for Storm, Wave starts nagging at Jet until he can't take it, and sees Sonic practicing, heading over that way. Storm comes back after this and tells the team that the hidden treasure of Babylon Garden was some advanced technology, which for some reason Jet doesn't care about until Wave tells him that if Eggman is looking for it, it's probably valuable. The final race in the Grand Prix commences with Sonic appearing to be the victor until he gets sabotaged by the bomb that was placed earlier and loses. Jet receives all the Chaos Emeralds and uses his cube to summon Babylon, and pretty much everyone heads there including Eggman, who steals Jet's cube and Amy jumps on his little air thing. Sonic races Jet one final time while Storm, Wave, Tails, and Knuckles attempt to get away from Eggman's robots. Sonic finally beats Jet and he tries to give Sonic the cube to get the treasure, but Sonic doesn't want it, so he just gives it back to Jet, who opens the Babylonian door with it. This leads to a crazy boss battle, which there are no other ones in the game, but honestly I had fun with this against the Babylonian Guardian, who guards the long lost treasure of the Babylonians. They eventually defeat him and are led to the actual treasure, with, once again, Eggman coming with fucking guns and pointing them at the crew, where they just decide to give them the treasure, which turns out to be a weird rug with a note inside. Apparently the real treasure was something to help with flight, and Jet's father had already stolen it. This rug was actually the beginning technology for the boards that Wave designed through the cube Jet's dad had found, though this is never stated weirdly, as even at the beginning, at least, Storm asked about it and Wave never really comments. Nevertheless, the entire crew leaves Babylon with Jet telling Sonic to watch out for him next time, and everyone rides off into the distance. The more I played the game since it came out, the more I learned to actually like it. It's a bit of a grind to actually get good, but I think it's overall worth it because when you actually put in the work to achieve first place, it feels super earned. There's also a lot of fun extra modes to play, as well as missions you can get through to unlock extra characters. One I've talked about in another video before, but I'll get to all that in a second. The music is still great, and I actually remixed one of the songs and suspect I'll be hopefully remixing more of the awesome soundtrack. Overall, I like just how high octane this game is, just trying to go absolutely as fast as possible. My con is rather minor and might only pertain to me, but the learning curve of this game is kind of wild, which, like I mentioned, I appreciate now, but this is the first time I was able to actually persevere all the way through the hard as hell story and actually beat it. Due to this mostly being a kids game with an E for everyone rating, I just think it's a little too wild on the difficulty. This might heavily just be due to me being bad at racing games in general, though, so that's why I said minor con. This game provides a plethora of extras to discover outside of the actual story, and I think this is where the game shines a little more to me, due to the story mode really only containing the base racing, while you have a good amount of multiplayer options. There are actually 19 courses compared to the story only showing off 13, as well as many types of extra boards to buy, even being able to buy hover skates and scooters that the majority of characters can switch through. Not really locked to any specific typing, I don't think. There's also a bunch of extra characters to choose from, probably noticing from the thumbnail, who don't appear in the story mode, like Shadow, II from Super Monkey Ball, and E10000R. You can enter Time Attack for the courses, a World Grand Prix, or just race like normal on a track-by-track basis. You also have Survival Mode with racing stages and battle stages. The difference between these two is that the racing has you race to get a Chaos Emerald and keep it until you pass through a set number of gates. The battle has you fighting against each other, using the boost to take a life point, and it's just like Last Man Standing. There's a tag mode that I didn't end up trying out, and finally there is Mission Mode, which is how you're going to be unlocking all your extra characters after you beat the game. For some reason they're named as Storm and Waves, but you don't necessarily play as them for each mission. These missions vary greatly between each other, and there's a whopping 100, so you'll definitely have your work cut out for you to unlock all those nice extra bits. Even though the game is rather difficult, there is a lot packed into it for a racing game. Though if I remember correctly, that was pretty common when the game originally came out for there to be a lot of nice extra things in racing games, and I really think it is a fun experience to just sit around and play with some friends, or even mindlessly go it alone in mission mode to get all gold ranks to get Super Sonic. Oh, did I forget to mention he is a crazy hard unlockable, and then you have to get the best rank in every mission in order to even get to play as him? Oops. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next video.